And for the first time in the story of Bronson Moreau, we'll be heading through our first off-season. It's coming off of an episode of which had the possibility of us making the playoffs, but we decided to make it as difficult for us as possible, going back to arguably broken old Madden. And it kind of went as expected. One back across the middle, there's just nowhere to go. He shades, we look for DK. Well along here in this game for 2 here. And it's gonna be another pick as we look for DK in the flat. Yeah, that one gets jumped. But at least along the way, we still saw some big plays made from Bronson Moreau. Got our guy crossed. This time we find him Lockett fighting into the end zone. And we'll go Smith and Jigba. Holds on to this one for the road then. Fant looking for his first catch. Finally, he gets it. He speeds down the sideline. This might be a one play and done. Noah Fant. As we roll, you know what? Moreau's just going to take this himself. DK, he beats the corner. It's put out for him on the move by the safety, and that's a touchdown. They look to bring the blitz. We'll loft it up, and we find DK. See if DK can get the step, which he does. Put it out for him. DK gets the catch, and he is headed to the end zone. A big strike downfield as we have to evade the pass rush of our own offensive lineman. Moreau takes it into the end zone. And at the end of it, he actually put together a pretty solid season. A lot of good numbers. Of course, there were a little bit of bad. And as we get to the end of this season, following the playoffs, hopefully we'll be able to see what every other quarterback was able to do as well and compare numbers. And good news is, we weren't forced straight into a cutscene, so that is great. We can check these numbers, and Moreau finished the year second of all quarterbacks in passing yards, though about 450 less than Patrick Mahomes, but almost 100 more than Jalen Hurts, who was in third. Now, of course, the most important thing not really is the yards, but it's the points you're getting off of it. If we check the total touchdowns, Bronson Moreau indeed threw the most amount of touchdowns this season. However, he also threw, tied with several other players, the most amount of interceptions, with 22, Baker Mayfield also, and Russell Wilson. And then Anthony Richards not that far behind, 21. We had a couple other guys at 20. Completion percentage, we definitely weren't the top guy. With actual attempts made, Lamar Jackson by far was the best. And that's even with Tyler Huntley also playing a good portion of the season, so it looks like Jackson probably was injured for a little bit. After that, Joe Burrow. You could argue that he was probably the best because, again, Lamar Jackson missed a good bit of time. But as for rushing, Bronson Moreau, very much the highest rushing yards, mixed in with a lot of top running backs as well. And in terms of touchdowns rushing, where did our guy land? Well, he did not have the most amount of rushing touchdowns. That actually went to Jalen Hurts. But just 2 behind in total rushing touchdowns is Bronson Moreau. All in all, still really solid. Fumbling, though, still a pretty big issue. He by far fumbled the most in the league. But despite those turnovers, it was enough for Bronson Moreau to make the Pro Bowl his rookie year. He's quarterback 2 behind Jalen Hurts, who arguably, more touchdowns, more passing yards, but obviously the turnovers, those are going to hurt us, and it did here, probably pushing us down to that QB2. As for yearly awards, we did not win Offensive Player of the Year, but we were in the running at least 6. DK Metcalf, though, was in front of us at 5. And as for MVP, Bronson Moreau was 3rd in the running, Mahomes and Hurts above him. And for the final one that we did not win, but were in the running, Bronson Moreau was QB2 for the best quarterback in the NFC. But as for ones we did win, Offensive Rookie of the Year does go to Bronson Moreau. But come the end of the rookie year, it would be the Bengals, Super Bowl champions, 38-17 over a surprising Carolina Panthers team. Logan Wilson, the linebacker, is a Super Bowl MVP. Not too bad. I always appreciate the defenders getting that title. From here, we officially move into the off-season. Now, I have never done an off-season here in Superstar mode, so I'm very curious to see if it's just essentially the exact same as franchise mode, or if the CPU handles most of it, and we just get to sit here and watch. But as for the first dominoes to fall here in the off-season, we are now very much needing offensive line help as our starting center is out. and Pete Carroll does retire. So we will have a new head coach as Moreau moves to his sophomore year. And indeed, it does look like the CPU is going to handle most of the things here in the offseason. Still not sure about the draft, we'll get to that. But as for the re-signing period, or just overall end of year moves, we did place a franchise tag on Noah Fant, so we will be keeping him around. We released one of our backup running backs in Samaje Perine, and we released Dwayne Eskridge. That is interesting because, well, Lockett's probably getting pretty close to retiring. Felt like they might have kept him around, but those are the only real moves that we've made in quite a little while. And in terms of free agency and draft, it's not really even showing up here. So in the free agency week, if you will, all we can do is skip to preseason. So let's jump to then and see who we have added to our team. And by the time we do get to preseason, there were absolutely no cutscenes or anything. Honestly, a little bit disappointed in that here. I wish we could have got a little something to do with the offseason. But let's run through the roster then. Obviously, Bronson Moreau. We are the quarterback here. Now, we do have a new backup quarterback. Locke has moved on. Holton Ahlers, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, he's the new backup. Hopefully, he never sees the field. At running back, the top two still the same. We got Kenny McIntosh as the running back 3. Getting to the receivers then, Metcalf, Lockett, Smith, and Jigba. We did draft a receiver. Essentially, that kind of seems like a Eskridge replacement. 22 years old, 70 overall, Desmond Lane. He's got, a little bit of some speed. Hands, a little bit of a work in progress. And he definitely seems to be a slot guy for the future. As for tight end, top two stay the same in Fant and Disley, though we did draft a tight end, Jacob Ellison. Maybe he'll develop into something at some point. Now, offensive line, any improvements made here? I know Charles Cross was drafted in real life. Ezra Cleveland, that is a new signing. Last year, I want to say we had Randolph as a starter. At least he definitely played some of the time. So we drafted a guy in Kyrie Hall, 71 overall. He is not very strong. He's a finesse style by the looks of it, or just kind of overall, yeah, definitely finesse. Lead block, he seems to be okay, but maybe not the best right now. So Ezra Cleveland, not an awful upgrade here for us. Down the middle, though, very light at center. So we might have to have Hall play that spot at center. Over at right guard, Bradford, I want to say he was around last year as well. And then right tackle, we have one in Lucas. So we did add 2 new guys, but that's really not helping out us much. And obviously, we don't get to see much of the defense, so we'll run through them pretty quickly. Jones is still here. Montez Sweat, I feel like that's a new addition, though I might just be missing out on that actually in real life. Taylor Tart rounds out the defensive line. We got Tranquil, Murray Jr., I do like him. And we have a really solid looking rookie middle linebacker in Titus Friedman. Maybe the defense will play a little bit better this year. Outside, we got Mafe. As for the corner, probably the best group here. We have Wolin and Witherspoon still with us, Rock Sin and Kobe Bryant. Then at free, we got Diggs, and strong, we got Adams. So at least the safeties have stuck around longer than in real life. We also drafted another safety for the future in Ballard, who is a 76. So we hit pretty well on the defensive draft picks, not so much for the offense. Well, with all the talk of what the team was doing in the offseason, what was Moreau doing? Well, he was doing exactly what you want from your quarterback. Trying to get that timing down with his receivers, especially as we have to deal with the all Madden shenanigans, as that will still be present here in this series. Now, as we talked about in the last episode, we will be doing some rotation of difficulties, all based on coin flips for each and every game. That way we get a good variety of, well, Madden weirdness. And obviously, the goal as we head into our next season is for Bronson Moreau to clean up those turnovers. And obviously, playoffs is always the goal. We came very close in his rookie year. Hopefully, we could add on. So as I pull up a random heads or tails coin flip thing that I found online, let's find out what our preseason games are going to be. As we're going to get through all 3 of them today. Heads is going to be all pro. Tails, all Madden. So for the first game against the Ravens, we're going to have, in a second, tails. That's going to be all Madden first. In the second one against the Colts, we are going to have a much slower coin flip this time, all pro for the Colts. For the Raiders, final one of preseason. As we flip again, it is back to all Madden. So we'll have one bit of reprieve in between. So with that said, we are ready to technically get Season 2 underway here with Bronson Moreau. Again, just my feelings here. Very disappointing off-season showing here, I guess, in Madden for Superstar mode. They could have given us a cutscene showing who we drafted, showing who we signed. I mean, a little bit of something would have been nice. But obviously, this series, it's about Bronson Moreau. So let's get into his action. And with a long drive from the Ravens to get us going, essentially we will have about a 2-minute drive here, and only that for this Ravens game, as obviously preseason we will just play this first quarter. And the first throw we miss as Uche gets the pressure. At least I say Uche, but I feel like I did that before and it was actually completely different than what I thought it was. I don't know. Definitely let me know down below, as I'm sure we'll face the Ravens at least one more time in this series. This time we find the big play. Downfield goes Smith-Njigba. And actually I feel like for the first time that at least I can remember after the play, the camera followed where the ball was rather than Bronson Moreau. As we had options, instead it's a big sack, and Aaron Brewer, another offensive lineman of ours, is injured. I'd say so far, picking up exactly where we left off last year. We go 2 spread to the left, 1 to the right-hand side. Offense really did not change much outside of 1 new addition on the offensive line, and honestly, that missed throw is probably for the best. So what could be our final play here of this first game. 3rd and 20. We got a bunch to the right-hand side, Fant to the left. Can we find some open receivers downfield? Well, we've got Smith-Njigba, well placed. He shakes one. We're down to the 19. Big strike there from our QB1 here in Moreau. Gonna get back to it quickly. Trying to get Walker a little bit involved here. As we go to the halfback screen, get that just by the defense as he is down, goal to go at the 5. And definitely want to make sure we keep Walker a little bit more involved this year. Might just have to cut some runs, just cut some plays out, obviously, as we are focusing in here on Moreau. As we will throw that one away, keep us at the 5. And as a Vikings fan myself, I know Ezra Cleveland not necessarily the best pass blocker, so didn't really seem like the Seahawks really try to help us out. We'll help them out. We find a touchdown here, DK, in what should be our only drive in preseason week 1. And indeed it would be, but it would be the start to a dominating win in preseason against the Ravens. 37-15? I honestly didn't read it. It was just surprising. But Bronson Moreau in his 1 drive, he did pretty well. And now as we return home, we head into our 2nd preseason game. This time we get to play the whole first half, so we should have at least 2 drives. And on All Pro, I hopefully see us rack up a lot of touchdowns here. And considering the last time that we were on this difficulty, Smith-Njigba went off, it's very fitting that he gets us started with a nice big play. Now we are going to shake it up a little bit on this one, have these slants drawn up, but with just some press coverage on the outside. Loft this one for DK, who does not get under it. We overthrow. And maybe that was why DK was just above us in the MVP voting for the NFC. Now we find him on this time, strike by the linebacker, or perhaps safety, either way, by the defender. Brings us 1st and 10 just outside the red zone. Gonna go with a little bit of some play action with a heavy tight end look. As we roll, not much open downfield. We got some grass in front of us then. Don't really pick up the block. We fumble, but we go out of bounds with it, so that's fine by me. Though I do feel like that might be the first time that we fumbled while in All Pro. Could be wrong with that. Either way, we've got goal to go. As they bring the blitz, we find DK getting that one out just in time. That'll get us down to the 3, so we pick up a couple yards on that one. Now going spread empty. I want a zig here from Lockett rather than just a flat release. as they guard the inside. Well, we will roll. Coming across, we miss a wide open target. Walker could have easily caught that one if we put it in his range, or honestly, we could have just as easily ran it in ourselves. We got a 3rd and goal. Don't like the call here. We're going to make a change if we could find any. There we go. Find some slants. We'll drop under center then. Just need a simple play here. Got to find the end zone. As it's up top, Lockett brings it in. We find a touchdown to end our first 2 preseason drives. With the defense picking up a stop, we have the opportunity to take a lead now as we tied it up our previous possession. We start pretty good, just shy of midfield at the 47. Look for somewhere to go here. We're having to roll out then. Look for the check down. We find Fant, but he must have heard the footsteps. And a surprise, though, that he would drop that one. We switch up the look here. Got trips to the left-hand side. Lockett loaned to the right-hand side. See if we can find a big chunk play here as we get Smith and Jigba. He's bumped on the route, but he still catches up to it. Just the hands in question, I guess, so far. Or at least on this drive, that seems to be the case. 3rd and 10 after a second straight drop. Pretty decent throw there from Moreau as he'll just look to run it this time. Sliding down, he picks up that 1st down. We'll go hurry up because we probably have at most 2 safe drives. The defense gets a pretty quick stop. Look for the check down here. Fant, he holds on to it this time. We'll end up picking up a gain of 5, leaving 2nd and 5. Single high safety, a little bit of some play action here. See if we could get Fant loaned to that left-hand side, which we will. He takes the shoulder from the safety, but we're down inside the red zone. We'll get back to it quickly, though gonna flip it. Send the tight ends to the right-hand side, receivers to the left. Gonna wheel out Walker as well. Not much of anyone left here to try to help block, so we roll. We find DK, he turns up, 1st down inside the 5. Not quite finding any big strikes in this one, but the simple plays we are getting done. Now RPO. We will hand this one off. Walker is stuffed, so perhaps the running game's still not quite going to work. Still plan on trying it a little bit more than last season. Got a bunch to the left here for 2nd and goal. Hard count, no one jumps. Get this one into Lockett. It's his 2nd touchdown on this game alone. That'll give us the lead, make it 14-7. As we jump forward, that lead no longer intact. Just under 4 minutes left here in this half. It is back to 14-14. Or I say back to a tied game. It's now 14-14. As we go DK, last receiver, he breaks to the outside. Is this gonna be one and done? Safety coming in, diving, misses. We go DK for a gain of what, 75 and an extra 7 points. But it's just a first half battle. 2-22-21 all. Well, we need one more touchdown then here before we are all said and done this game. As again, we only play the first half. We find DK, he picks up 4. Well, that will quickly find us inside the 2-minute warning. We do have all of our timeouts. We got 2nd and 6. Press coverage across the board here then. I'm going to make a change in the play. I want Lockett instead going deep instead of Fant. Have a couple deeper out routes, which we will go Fant, and he can't stay on his feet. Okay. Well, we definitely could have found a lot more yards if he did. Trying to find a new play here, ends up actually just being the same exact play, just not with our changes. Back to Fant right down the seam, a nice little gain. Gonna put us under a minute and a half left here in this half. Minute 20 actually as we get the snap off. Walker, looking for him on the screen, get some blocks in front, utilize that athleticism and power, or get about a gain of 9.5. As we tick under a minute here, still have all of our timeouts, 2nd and inches. As this one's out for Lockett, that was well low. Not exactly the throw expected. We were gonna get there for Moreau. 3rd and inches. Look for the 1st down with Walker, who runs straight at the defender, but he gets the job done. We'll get back to the line quickly then. Looking for a play to get us closer to the end zone. Still have those timeouts. I'll have to use those after this play as we have to try to shift around the pocket. We only lose 1. So at least managing the sack on that one. 2nd and 11, 33 seconds, 2 timeouts remain. As we got Fant, he cuts. Gonna get him to the outside by another diving defender. We strike again. 4 touchdowns in the first half of preseason Game 2. And once again, the backups put together a dominant performance, 52-29, another preseason win, and Moreau looked pretty good, but again, that one was all pro as we go for our first full game back to all Madden. And now for our full game. We stay at home, but we go against the Raiders, and we'll see what we can get done as we are back on all Madden. The first game only had that one drive, but it did end in a touchdown. I would love to see us be able to continue to find these touchdowns while on all Madden. And maybe not get sacked when we had all the space opening up, or it's still a gain of 1. But with all the yardage we could have got, kind of feels like it's a sack. 3rd and 4. A little bit of some play action to get us going here. As we got a couple options, we go downfield and we squeeze it in the Lockett. Definitely did not need to gamble that much on a 3rd and medium, or short even. But I guess for now, it works out for us. As we take a sack for real this time. It was Lopez right down the middle where we have that, either it's going to be the draftee that was a guard who's playing center, or it's a true like 60-something overall at center. Either way, it's not great. But we pick up a block downfield and we take an awkward hit that ensures we pick up the first. Running worked out very well for Moreau last year. We will definitely be trying to incorporate that a little bit more, especially with all Madden. But when we got a throw like this, we will take it. Kenneth Walker wide open. We take an early lead here in the final preseason game. As we jump to our next drive, defense gets a stop too, so a chance to grow our lead here. We start at the 35. A tight shotgun look. We got Fant downfield. That's going to be a gain of about 20 as he gets hit pretty hard from behind. He's already taken a few of those this preseason. Need to try to keep him a little bit cleaner then. A little bit of some play action. Most of the guys going downfield as we've got Lockett just sitting on the move. It's a little high, but we find him. It's just something we have to expect. Not every play is going to be super clean, but as long as we're getting the plays, that's what matters. Got 1st and 10 down at the 25 as we roll. We try to get around Crosby, try to pick up as much as we can and safely get out of bounds. It's a gain of 4, though probably ran about 50 yards on that one. And on 2nd and 6, we'll give Moreau a little bit of a breather. Hand this one off Walker, who gets stood up Lopez. Oh, I feel like I could definitely say the center position looks rough. If I have any say in that, maybe switch around some linemen. I'll see about that in between episodes. But for now, focusing on getting the first down, we might have had Fant. Couldn't get a clean throw off. It will be a field goal instead. Now as we jump well forward, we're inside 2 minutes left this half, and things have gone in reverse. We haven't been able to move the ball, but the Raiders definitely have. They've even taken a lead here, going with a field goal, then 2 touchdown drives. But with a little bit of time left, can we at least tie this one up before the break? Need some plays made downfield as he tried to squeeze it. Moreau can't throw those. It's a pick going to Duggar. And as we now jump through the break, we are down multiple scores. Start this second half, the Raiders picked up another touchdown. Surprisingly, they didn't get any points off of that turnover. But right now, offense has not been able to do anything since we got that field goal. Pressure has been consistent, and Moreau hasn't been able to find an easy target, to say the least. 2nd and 10. Having to step up in the pocket again, getting dropped. So now a 3rd and 12. Can we just find time to throw? That would be a step forward, at least at this point. But that's just not the case. So following the hot start from our offense, it's been nothing but downhill since. Now 27-10. As we try to get this one in, it's behind, but again, probably a good thing. We just have not been able to move the ball at all, besides backwards. We've definitely taken some sacks. So Moreau, he's just going to look to run then. Pick up a first down, something we haven't done in way too long here. We'll get back to the line quickly because we still need some big plays. They do have the 2 safeties over the top. We'll make an audible then. Change up our look. We still got time in this one to try to make something happen. We just got to try to make that happen as a great play made by Crosby that far back in coverage. I don't know how the edge rusher who starts crashing down can float back that easily and get the knock away. Really unfortunate, but can we find the play here then? DK, finally, we've got him all the way to the end zone. We find the big play for the first time since our first drive. But unfortunately after that, we would get pulled from the preseason game. Defense was awful in this one, 41-17. Our first loss in preseason. It wasn't a clean game from Moreau, but should be a pretty similar look to all Madden games we get into the regular year. Well, that will conclude today's episode. Again, as I said earlier, I expected a little something extra to happen here. You know, this is supposed to be a semi-story mode, right? Not even a single cutscene. In his first off-season, nothing for free agency, the draft. We had to go find all that information ourselves. Preseason, I didn't expect there to be any like sort of cutscenes, but the stats for it wasn't too awful. Completion percentage still sitting very similar, if not the exact same to how he finished last year, but the touchdowns to turnover, that's sitting much better. He also did a little bit rushing as well, though no touchdowns. Did have that fumble, but it went out of bounds. So all in all, not too bad of a showing there for Bronson Moreau. And I think it was a good showing, a good test run for the coin flip for difficulty for each game. So we'll continue that as we move through his next season. As for an update on the skills as we begin that second season, we've got that medium throw accuracy up to a 90, deep is 87, short is 84, and the throw power is still sitting at an 84, but pretty much every single game we have a +5 for that throw power from the drills that we run between each game. So that's really an 89. If there isn't also a boost for just taking care of like the little things that pop up. So he's well on his way, very close to an 80. He's at a 79 right now. So one more upgrade, he should be there. We also upgraded once for the throw under pressure. That's up to a 78. As we will officially open up Season 2 next time, make sure you stick around, hit that bell icon on the bottom right, or scroll down, hit the sub button, and definitely tap that bell icon so you're notified of when these videos go live. This series every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We also have the States Only Challenge, Marylavania, who just kicked off their final season in a massive way last time. That series every Tuesday, Thursday, so a whole lot coming your way. Bronson Moreau set to get back on track for a playoff push, and with the difficulty rotation, that might be a little bit more likely here with the lack of sliders. So until then, we'll see you guys later as Bronson Moreau gets prepared.